Hi. Welcome back. My name is Tiph-Critiqués, and we like to go over. Ooh, I had to test the audio to make sure I can hear myself, make sure everything was good. Hello. Happy Thursday. My name is Tiph-Critiqués. You can call me Tiff, and I like to go over politics, current events, and sometimes the mess. So today, we're going to talk about voting for villains. And the reason that it's titled that is I'm trying to understand if the NAACP is actually on our side or if they're villains. And the reason I say that is if you haven't heard of the out of bounds protest, I find it to be deplorable, absolutely deplorable. I think it is a lot to ask for student athletes to, I'm sorry, y'all, something popped up on my screen. Okay, focus, Carol, focus. Okay, I find it absolutely deplorable for them to ask for student athletes to give up their future potential for voting rights. Mind you, hear me when I say this. I feel like voting rights is absolutely important. However, the CBC and the NAACP knew for years that there was an issue with the VRA, which is the Voting Rights. It's the bill. The Voters' Rights Act has been in limbo since 2013. That's when Barack Obama was in office. So we've had Barack, Trump, Biden, and then Trump again. I am struggling with trying to understand why when Biden was in office or Obama, they did not secure it. They also have had the John Lewis Good Trouble Voting Rights Act. Again, nothing was done. So to ask now these student athletes to sacrifice years of practice, playing, because in order to get to a collegiate level where you would get a scholarship, a great deal of work and sacrifice has gone into what you're doing. And I just find it absolutely appalling. So what we're going to do is go over some clips, go over some information just to show this is, for me, this is an outrageous ask. I have a son that played football from 4 to, let's say 18, from 4 to 18, played all the way through his senior year and then decided didn't want to do it. And I get it. But for parents that have invested weekends, time, the cleats, the outfits, the playing for UIL, nothing about that is cheap. So it just frustrates the heck out of me to see these grown adults try to act as if the student athlete should make the sacrifice. No, quit your job and start doing things full time. So we're going to go over some clips just because I want you to be informed, be able to make really good decisions with the information that's available. So the first thing we're going to look at is one of these congressmen that is trying to absolutely save his position. Let's see what he has to say. I'm going to bump him up. I'm going to bring the speed to chat. Okay. Here we go. Excuse my slowness. It's at 1.25. I think we can probably go to 1.5. I hope that that's okay with y'all, just to kind of bump it up and get over what he's saying. So he's like, I broke this down in 4 minutes. Let's see what he's saying. Okay.
Always watch what they do, not what they say. The Supreme Court just gutted the Voting Rights Act, a civil rights law that has been on the books for 60 plus years. It is a law that Dr. King, John Lewis, Fannie Lou Hamer, Viola Luiso, and so many others marched and spilled blood for. It is a colossal step backwards for the vibrant multiracial democracy that so many fought so hard to build in our country. If you want to understand why the Supreme Court just did this, you have to look at what politicians are doing. Because ultimately, this is an effort by politicians to decide who their voters are, as opposed to having the voters choose who their politicians are. So let me break it down. During Jim Crow segregation, politicians would draw maps to shut out Black voters, to diminish the power of their vote and their voice. And one way was to take a large group of Black voters and split them into multiple districts so that they were always a minority and their votes never really mattered. That's called cracking. Another way was to take a large group of Black voters, large enough to be majorities in 2 districts, and put them all into 1 district. That's called packing. And through tactics like packing and cracking, creatively drawing the lines, craven politicians who sought to maintain Jim Crow were able to successfully strip Black voters of their political power even when they show up. They were able to silence and diminish their voices in our democracy. The Voting Rights Act put a stop to this. Fast forward to today. Before the Supreme Court decision, politicians in many southern states, including my own state of Georgia, were literally lining up plans to deprive Black citizens of representation by this very same mechanism. And now they're saying the quiet part out loud, that they plan to take cohesive Black communities and minimize their influence. That's why we need the Voting Rights Act, because these abuses are happening in real time. Without it, these politicians will move to deprive Black voters of their voice. They will move to do the very thing that the Voting Rights Act was meant to prevent. This was all telegraphed beforehand. None of this was in secret. And yet Trump's Supreme Court chose to ignore that. They chose to roll back the clock.
I want you to take note, and I'm going to drag it back, because what he said is this was done before, this wasn't done in secret. So that means that they were well aware that this was an outcome that could have happened. So let me take it back maybe about that time. Let's see.
Chose to ignore that. They chose to roll back the clock because there is an extreme movement in this country that is willing to do anything to stay in power. And if that means dragging us back to the days of Jim Crow, so be it.
So
Hello.
Let me pause this and get out of there. Even out of his mouth, he literally said that this has been going on, that cracking and stacking was an issue that they were well aware that could have happened. And I want to go and I want to show you just a bit of historical data, just so you can see how long this has been going on. So when people talk about the Democrats and what they can do and cannot do, we're going to go all the way back and talk about the truth about politicians helping Black people. So let's go here.
In Washington, Senator Eastland represents his neighbors in a fashion that some find confusing. A staunch opponent of government handouts, he did nevertheless support his colleague, Senator Stennis, who proposed a bill authorizing a $25 million emergency measure to feed hungry people. It died in the House. The senator still thinks and speaks for the folks back home. He has publicly declared that Negroes living on his plantation, working or not, have a home for life. One of his neighbors is Negro activist Fannie Lou Hamer, one of the founders of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party.
And if you go and look at the diary or the library, I've covered Fannie Lou Hamer because she is an ancestor, but she also was a voracious fighter for us.
Her, the senator's generosity has a hollow ring.
Senator Eastland has never done nothing for nobody poor, not in this county. Because the people on Senator Eastland's plantation is just as poor as I am. And he hadn't done anything for them. And he hadn't done anything for nobody else that's poor in Sunflower County. And I've been right here in Sunflower County since I was 2 years old.
You borrow money from Senator Eastland, you've got to pay an interest?
Yeah, I had to pay interest on it.
Tell us about that. Go all the way through and tell us how that works.
Yeah, see, when I borrow it, just like I borrowed $30, well, I'm got to pay 2 bits on every one of them dollars I borrowed from him.
So they're not getting anything free. If they loan them money, they might have to pay that double instead of just paying maybe 10% on the dollar. So they're not giving them anything.
Tell us about what your family is going to eat until you get more.
Well, they'll eat some turnip greens and some cornbread All I know, because I don't have anything else. And I don't have no money to buy nothing with. I don't have no job. I have been trying to get one, but I can't.
So I think so myself if I had to go to Vietnam. I think if I went and took all the punishment and everything happened to me while I was in Vietnam and then come back home and couldn't have a decent bed to lay down in and not a decent job, I don't think I feel like ever going back no more. If it was for my country, I wouldn't feel like this for my country. Not especially for my father, for me. I feel like it's for the other fellas did to me.
When I think about that and how hungry people are in the South, then it makes me a little sick to say, how can they spend all that much money in another country and really not doing nothing at home? See, I think charity began at home and
Don't that sound like what's going on?
then spread abroad.
So let's think about that. Did you see the
Everybody, it's Jeff Bennett, and this is the PBS News.
1 second, y'all. You can clearly see that. Hi, Miss Mahogany. You can clearly see that this has been going on for years. And what we do know for certain is, again, in 2013, we had an opportunity with Obama, again, to get the VRA done, to get the voters right, get it taken care of. They killed Section 5 of the VRA in 2013. So why in 2023, in 2026, again, let's just count it out. You had Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump again. Why between these two did we not decide to go ahead and secure the voters' rights? I have a speculation of why it was not done. Let's go here and see what Miss Ma'am's got to say. Because again, we're all about the truth and the proof. It is not about how you feel and what you think. This is what came out of her mouth.
Asian, white.
With the root, you know, she was talking to Black women and she's talking about the back.
This is Demetra. She's a great follow. She's under the African diaspora with Phil Scott. Follow this lady. Super, super smart.
Backbone, right? Who is the backbone of the Democratic Party? We all know the answer to that. That's the Black woman. Okay. She's the backbone of the Democratic Party, which means that she delivers and this, that, and the other. And I'm going to show you a snippet of Kamala from 2020 when her and Biden, they, you know, won the election. And this is what she said in part. She was referencing her mother. And this is what she said.
Is possible. And so I am thinking about her and about the generations of women, Black women, Asian, white, Latina, Native American women, who throughout our nation's history have paved the way for this moment tonight. Women who fought and sacrificed so much for equality and liberty and justice for all, including the Black women who are often, too often overlooked, but so often prove they are the backbone of our democracy.
Okay,
so we are the backbone of democracy. They understand what we bring to the table and none of the needs were taken care of. So again, you want student athletes to boycott for something that even in 2020, you know what's the problem? Please make it make sense. There is no way on God's green earth that you should be asking a young person to take care of something that you knew was an absolute issue. And it's been an issue for quite some time. But let's look and see how long this has been a problem.
Senator Eastland represents his neighbors in a fashion that some find confusing. A staunch...
You know what? Go back to that because we've shown that. So another issue is this. We have people that are trying to be in safe districts. So even with the cracking and the packing, you have representatives that will be in districts that they know that they can't win. And they literally will try to come into your area. This is a minority majority area, and this lady, and if you know who she is, this is Debbie Wiseman. She was over the DNC. That was not great. So, and I want you to pay strong attention to what our Caucasian, we call him Alan. We call him ally. Listen to what he's asking her.
Back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know that it helps us out a ton. And essentially kicked out of her district when it was redistricted, when it was redrawn, with her then deciding to run for Senate. I guess she thought that would be the easier route rather than running in a redrawn district with new people. And she lost. And now, y'all, this is among many other examples, but today we're going to be talking about Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who was also with reaction. Ted? A pretty straightforward warning and the reasoning behind it. Now, whether you problem, let's take a look at this warning.
Running in that seat, which means Wasserman Schultz will be counting on her opponents in the.
Do we see Uncle Luke is there? Like, the fact that Luke is running for Congress, it just blows my mind. Not let me see you, Doodle Brown. If y'all vote for Luther, on top of he's a tether. Just so you know.
Primary, splitting up the African American vote and allowing her to become the nominee. The Broward County Democratic Black Caucus has asked Wasserman Schultz not to run for that seat. And it is clear that if she did run, it would turn into an ugly and potentially racial affair.
I did talk to her. She explained to me how important seniority is in Congress, and we want to keep her in Congress. But we're just asking her to consider running in the district that she was drawn into, or even in the coastal district where Moskowitz says he's going to run, where it's predominantly Jew. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Moskowitz, it's like they're vying to protect their seats. And what we're saying is we've been an ally. We've been a supporter. We want to have someone with our lived experience. Let our community kind of decide through the voting process who that person is going to be.
Well, let me.
So as we already showed.
So she literally has Black people saying, please don't run in our district. We want to have somebody that looks like us, that represents us. What we have to understand is that there is a cultural competency that has to happen, and understand that there are specific needs for specific people. And in Florida, in that district, they want someone that looks like them. They want someone that is absolutely there for them. Hey, Next Level, how are you? I wanted to speak. Hey, East Texas. That's my East Texas buddy. You'll hear me comment because when I'm live, I have some supporters and some followers that will come in and chat with us. And I really appreciate anybody that shows up. We're a small channel for now, but we're going to grow. And this is really, yes, I'd love to grow, but it's more about making sure that the information is out there, that if somebody comes back, because we have midterms in 2026, and then we have the major election in 2028. And I want us to have voter, how would I word this? I want us to be educated. Let me just say that. I want us to have enough information to make informed decisions. I am going to tell you, I am not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I am a true independent. I think that we should be uncommitted and independent. I don't think Black people should ever, at this point, the vote blue no matter who, it just is not beneficial. We can look and see as we go through these clips, historically, there has been an issue with Black people and their voting rights. And if we can say for the past 60 years that Black people have voted Democratic, and we can't really talk about, I think, Brown versus Education, the Civil Rights Act, I can't, and I could be wrong, so if you can correct me, put it in, but I'm trying to think of like a major legislation that was done specifically for Black people, specifically. And a lot of people will say like, there's no way that we can do that. You did it for the LGBTQIA. There's plenty of letters. You also did this for the Latins. Hell, we saw a hate crime bill for Asians before we saw any, and still don't have anything for Black Americans. So if we are the Democratic base and they've not done anything for us, I'm not telling you a party to vote for. I'm just saying, consider what's going on, consider what we've received, and then go from there. So again, I want us to have historical context. This is from 1966. 1966, y'all.
Agonizing reappraisal. He doesn't belong to the decadent, aristocratic colonials of the civil rights movement.
Who were the decadent aristocratic?
Well, I don't want to call names, but the names are obvious. Martin Luther King has done a yeoman job, and he's got the guts to keep on doing it. And once he knows what Black power really means, he doesn't know what it means.
What does it mean?
It means dignity. It doesn't mean violence. It means integrity. It doesn't mean anti-white. It means pride in being Black. It means you're willing to cooperate with your white brother and sister if they're going to cooperate with you in terms of giving you the same things that they have. That's what it means.
But you suggest that he might be going through an agonizing reappraisal that will wind him up where?
Third phase of Black Revolution.
And does that mean casting aside his principles of nonviolence?
None of us have cast them aside. I don't think Stokely has either. This means that we have cast aside that we're not going to let nonviolence go all the way. That when nonviolence comes to the point of violence, we're going to meet violence with violence for our manhood.
When Stokely,
not because of Black power, but for our manhood. That's all.
For our manhood. That's all. 1966. This is from 1966. We have had this issue. How in the world are you in 2026, NAACP and CBC asking for students to literally let go of their opportunities? Absolutely not. If you see the title, it literally says CBC and NAACP, girl, fuck you. And I mean that with my whole soul. Girl, fuck you. Because how? What kind of, this is some straight up bull corn. Straight up and down bull corn. Let's go ahead. We're going to go right here to my good brother.
Think about this. Should Southern schools be worried?
Not at all. I think this is ridiculous. I mean, you see them pandering to race, and you're putting into these young Black boys' minds that they're victims. And that's what's happening with Akeem Jeffries and his whole band of, I don't know, I call it foolishness. But it's just ridiculous to be talking about this. These are the issues that the NCAA is thinking about right now, heading into a football season. I mean, the NAACP, they profit off of this. They profit off of division. They profit off of a victimhood mentality that they're pushing to these kids. But they're not talking about the actual communities that are being represented. All these communities, the majority of them are these districts or poor. Majority of these districts have poor education that they're sticking these same kids in. These kids are having to overcome from living in these districts. They have to be, the cream of the crop. They got to make sure they stay out of trouble because they got drugs infested in their communities. They're reading the math proficiency level in the schools that they're going to, in these same districts that they're talking about are in the tanks. And so they're not talking about that, though. Instead of the elected officials being in the school system trying to fix it, or being in the criminal justice system trying to bring rehabilitation program to all these fatherless kids, they don't talk about that. They're talking about pushing the cream of the crop, which are the NFL players or the NCAA players and the Major League Baseball players and the kids that are coming out to play play basketball. They're going to take those kids that have already overcome and they're going to use them as their pawns. It's not right. Something needs to happen in this country right now. I'm going into juveniles. I'm going into the prisons and seeing really the effects of these policies that these Democrats are pushing, and it's sickening.
Yeah, and
that is exactly how I feel. It's sickening. How dare you ask a student athlete to fix your fuck ups? Because this is a fuck up from the DNC. We covered maybe 2 weeks ago where the DNC chair would not even release the autopsy. And when they did on Monday, it was full of mistakes, full of misspells, no conclusion. But you want for the cream of the crop, you want for these children that have literally made it through to play at a collegiate level, they supposed to sacrifice? How? On top of the idiocracy of it. This is a legislative decision. This came from the Supreme Court. They don't give a damn about nobody boycotting. They don't give a damn about that. Like, what are we doing? These people have lost the fucking plot. You have lost the plot. If you actually believe that this is the right thing for you, have you lost your ever-loving mind? You have got to have lost your ever-loving mind to believe that students should give way to these idiots that did not make right decisions. You've got to be an idiot to ask for these children to sacrifice for the CBC and your bullshit. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now we got 2 more clips to go over and then we're done, because this runs my pressure super high. Because again, I'm a parent that had a student athlete. I know the Sundays, the Saturdays, you got to practice after school, the freaking orange slices that the parents have to bring, the carpooling that has to go on top of once they get to a particular area. Because before, like from 4 to about, I would say to middle school, you paying for cleats, you paying for the Nike Elite sock, you paying for the person to be on the team, you're paying for them to be able to coaching, any type of private study. Like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not a collegiate level. On top of, why are you only asking the Black athletes to do this? If it is so harmful, ask the Jewish kids to give it up. Ask the white kids to give it up. Ask the Mexicans to give it up. Ask the Asians. Nobody should be playing football for the SEC. Why don't you do that? Why are you only asking the Black athletes? What the F is that about? What the F is that about? If the schools are so horrible and you want to talk about voters' rights, then shouldn't all the students quit school? Shouldn't all of the students quit? Like, what? Really? But just the Black children, just the Black kids, right? Naacp, CBC, just our boys, just our girls. That's who's supposed to sacrifice. Are you out of your fucking mind? You gotta be out of your mind. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. You've had all this time to get this taken care of. You've had all this time to make sure that things were okay. But what you want to do is make these children, and I understand people can be like, they're adults, they're young adults. These are high school kids. If you're asking them, these are high school children, and at best, 21, 22, your brain is not even developed until you're 25. But they should sacrifice. They should make sure that they give the sacrifices for those kids, the children that are the cream of the crop, the children that play so well they can get scholarships. Those are the kids that you're asking to sacrifice. Make it make sense, NAACP. Make it make sense, Congressional Black Caucus. Are you, again, y'all have lost the plot. You've clearly lost the plot. If you feel good asking these kids for that, and all you motherfuckers got scholarships, all y'all, you got your degree, you're getting your money, you're literally making money asking for these kids to sacrifice. Give your salary up. What's the plan when these boys don't go to school? What's the plan when these girls don't go to school? What do you have set up? There's no alternative as far as scholarships. You cannot guarantee that they can get in school. You don't have no special programs from the NIL. What are we doing? What are y'all asking for? Sacrifice their future so y'all can keep your jobs? Absolutely not. If you get fired, you get fired. It is what it is. If you get fired, you get fired. Because these districts that are predominantly Black, they do have the worst schools. They are underfunded. You literally have James Clyburn that's been there for 20 fucking years. And if you look at his district, it's absolutely porous. Poor as hell. Here for the team. Hey, babes. So we got one more clip. I want to show you this man. I understand what he's saying. I get it. But it's a no for me, dog. It's a no for me. Child. Where is this last one? We're almost done, y'all. As a matter of fact, okay. Here we go. We're going to start right here with Miss Ma'am.
Congressional district. And today I'm here. Two things. One, I want to put on the table is that on Friday we had a different map that was SB 407. And today I look at the amended SB 407 map and I am very concerned. I'm concerned from the perspective of with these new maps that generally takes and allow for a person to understand and build a relationship with their representative. This new amended SB 407 will not give that type of representation. When we realized the last SB 407, it was minimum changes. This is a major change. And the last time the map was changed before then was from 2011, and it lasts all the way for many years, almost a decade. It is super duper important that in order for the people to have representation, they need to know who's representing them. This is a major shift. The amended SB 407 is a major shift. It will not give the people the opportunity to know who's representing them. Some people don't even understand that on their sos.gov, that all their representative is in their app. This shift is not what we need. We need relationships. We need opportunities, and we must have representation that we know of. I don't know if y'all ain't seeing the same map, but I'm seeing a different map, a totally different map since Friday. And I've seen so many people who are agreeing with it, but this is a major shift. And I don't think that we should move forward at all with this at all, because it's not representation. Many people are speaking, I'm assuming, from the map that was provided on Friday. Well, today, Tuesday, major difference. And as a representative for the people, it is my responsibility not to just join the bandwagon, but to inform, educate, and effectively speak up. I'm not going to just say, hey, I'm in agreement to a thing when I'm not. So In order to effectively give the people the chance, we have to be able to be 100% transparent and let them know the shift that has taken place, because this map is not a representation of what we were majorly here upon on Friday.
What she's talking about is the Scalia's report. And I will say, I'm not gonna say that what they're doing is right. What I will say is you are a tax-paying citizen, and you should be informed on who is voting for your area, who's on the ballot, what's going on in the ballot, and then find a person that you align with their actual beliefs. Again, uncommitted and independent. The vote blue, no matter who, that's dead. It's a wrap. It is absolutely, it's just inefficient for Black people. It is inefficient. So I can appreciate what the sister said, and I understand when the maps change and confusion, but there is also a responsibility because you are a tax-paying citizen in America that literally fought the war that said no taxation without representation. Like, so what we're going to do is we got this last clip to watch, and I'm going to tell you, I love Julia Hare, Dr. Julia Hare, let me say it right. Mother was all the way right with this, but the fact that this is literally, this clip that we're going to watch is 10 years old. So again, 2013 with Obama, when the first part was kicked off, you have Obama, you have Trump, Biden, Trump again. So you mean to tell me within the last 10 years, nobody thought to shore up the Voters' Rights Act? Like John Lewis has been dead, I want to say 2 or 3 years. They have the John Lewis. Hey, Mr. Center. Hey, Sherelle. Hey, Relly. When I play this clip, it's about a 6-minute clip, but when Mother goes off, I'm telling you, Mother is going to go off, and I love everything about she says. The only thing that's disappointing is the fact that she said this so long ago that it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'm just going to say, you've got to be an idiot to think that a parent is going to allow their child to not participate in a scholarship, to not be able to give themselves a great opportunity, to not be able to give themselves a way out because the CBC and the NAACP were misguided. On top of y'all been fighting for immigrants for quite some time. If you go to the NAACP or the CBC, they don't say that they're specifically for Black people. They literally say all people. So why aren't you again? Why you're not asking the white students? Why you're not asking the Mexicans? Why you're not asking the Asians? If it's bad for the Black students, it should be bad for everybody. And sister's gonna, like Mother's gonna address this, the leading Blacks, because what we have right now are leading Blacks. But I'm gonna let Mother she gonna close us out. I absolutely love this clip, and I absolutely love everything that she's gonna say for us.
Black relationships have survived as they have. What say you about that 400 years later?
It is amazing that Black relationships have lasted for 400 years. They lasted this morning. They're also going to last tonight, and you may not even know the person to whom you're going to have the relationship with. But they do tend to go over. Relationships do go over like that. And as we move into what has happened to this, I know that our relationships sometimes really reach a low ebb. That's one of the reasons why we wrote the book, How to Find and Keep a BMW, a Black Man Working. That was spelled out in there. It's just very serious. Because our relationships didn't start yesterday or last week. It also started 400 years ago when those 19 persons were here. And I want you to remember something very important that one of our by any means necessary power brokers told us, and that was Malcolm X. He said, if we can only remember that you didn't land at Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on you. And it's very essential that we kind of keep this in place. And knowing that these are the things that happen, then we have to move more to change it. See, we have a system that would not like to see black males and black females together. They would not like to see that happening at all. Because once we come together, they understand the power of the strength of the black woman, the queen of the universe. They know that, her strength.
So the gender wars have to stop. Mother has told us the gender wars have to stop. Let's continue.
They also know the power of the black male, the warrior. If you would turn him loose, he will protect also his family and things that need to be done. And because they understand that if our relationships are together, then they will lose. But if our relationships are torn up, then we can forever be treated in certain ways by the oppressors. That's why they gave us something called integration, which is nothing but the illusion of inclusion. They gave us this.
Think about the VRA. Like, we thought that we were secure with our voting rights, but okay, go off.
They actually gave that statement. And when they gave that statement, it meant that they could go right into your homes. They went into the black homes now, the powers that be, and told us that you cannot discipline your children anymore. And if you discipline your children, you will go into jail. It's this kind of thing they told us. Now, this is amazing that, you know, the black parents who in Africa, that was out of the question. Some social worker come in there saying you can't discipline your children, the social worker would disappear. As you all know, this kind of thing would go on. You would be sitting in a place like this, and all you had to do was act up and do something wrong, and all your mother had to do was to glance in your direction. Y'all remember that? And you remember that the glance meant, don't let me have to get up and come over there. And every once in a while in the black family, there was a fool who would challenge the glance. And if you could get home over the foot, over the ironing card, over whatever, you were sent to the backyard to get something off the peach tree.
Baby, being from East Texas, the switches, Lord help. And my grandmother was a ninja with a switch. A ninja.
And if you brought something in that was too short, God forbid that you would do something like that. But then it got so terrible in frightening us. This is why we got to take this back. And this is the best part of our action plan, is to reclaim the minds of our children. Because then they went into the public schools and took discipline out of there. So when we acted up in there, they put our boys, our black men, into something called special ed classes. And as you know, those special ed classes are nothing but holding cells until they can go to the state prison.
Ain't she preaching? Dr. Harris, cold-blooded, in the best possible way.
But this is what they did. And then, the one thing that they knew, that if we can put them in prison, if we can have them convicted for a felony, then once they get out of prison, they cannot get a job because of that. They cannot get the job. And then if they happen to eke out and find a job, then they have to pay taxes on a job, yet they cannot vote, and I call that taxation without representation. That's what we're looking at. And if one of the things that we would learn to do, they did a grand thing when they took that discipline away from us, because when they made our parents afraid to discipline the children, then what happened? We found out that the teachers were afraid of the principals were scared of the superintendent was scared of the school board was scared of the parents were scared of the children, and the children ain't scared of nobody.
Mother ain't told one lie yet. Not one lie been told.
statement, the reason why we're so pleased to have the covenant, it makes all of this type foolishness stop. It's going on under Angela Glover in San Francisco. It's all over the country. And they're all saying, we finally have a movement where we can take back over the minds of our children. And the first thing we got to take over, the covenant taught us that we do not have to have black leaders anymore. It told us because everyone in this room is empowered to be a black leader. Everyone in this room.
Everybody is qualified. We do not need the NAACP or the CBC to tell us what to do, to tell us what our children should do. You are qualified to make the best decision for your children. Do not ask your kids to give up a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for adults that have made the bad decisions. We've watched from 1966 to 2026. All of this could have been secured. Do not allow your kids to sacrifice their future for things that adults could have had passed for years. That is all I'm saying. That's all I have to say. If you have invested in your child to the point to where they are getting scholarships, where they are competing at a collegiate level, nobody besides you and your child should decide where your children are going to college. That's it. That's all. So we closing out with the title. Don't vote for Villans, because to me, this is villainous. This is almost demonic for you to ask this. FBAs, Foundational Americans, Black Americans, Sulan, do not let the CBC and the Naacp or NAACP, they don't get to make a decision for what is best for your children. And all I can say is for them, the CBC and the NAACP, fuck off. Fuck off.